So we're gonna do the first part, spiritual healing from the Torah, Parashat Chayei Sarah. There's so much about spiritual healing in it. And, the first thing is, in this week's parashat, we learn about how Abraham sent the sons of his concubines, that the rabbis say it is really, it's really one concubine, Pilak, that's really Keturah's sons that Abraham sent to the east with gifts. And that's what it says, V'ten Abraham et kol asher lo liYitzchak. Abraham gave everything that belonged to him to Yitzchak. Everything that he had, he gave to Yitzchak. And then right after, that's in chapter 28, verse 5. And then right after it says, Ulivnei ha'plagshim asher Abraham, Natan Abraham matanot, and to the sons of the concubines, which is really Keturah, that Abraham had. Abraham gave presents, Vishlachem me'al Yitzchak beno, be'odenu chai, and he sent them away from Yisrael, his son, while he was still alive, like while Abraham was still alive, Kedma el Eretz Kedem, to the eastwards, to the land of the east. Okay, so we have a lot of questions on that. One question is, the main question is, after Abraham already gave everything that he had to Yitzchak, what gift is left? What kind of gift is there left to give to the sons of the concubines? And secondly is, what is that gift? Like, what kind of gift is it in any case? And if they get gifts, why doesn't Yitzchak get gifts? And why did he send them away from Yitzchak and specifically to the Far East? So these are some questions. And, people like us who've been involved in energy healing and spiritual healing. So we know that there is some wisdom there in the East. And we know that what they call it chakras, and I don't use that term because that's the rabbinical guidance I got not to use it, that I call it the Eastern energy system. But everybody knows that there is truth to these 7 energy centers that they have. And I have the course that I gave just before this course was healing with the Sfirot. And one of the classes there, I compare the Sfirot and the Eastern energy centers. And there's a lot of parallels there. There's also some differences that you have to learn in that course that I'm not going to go into now. And so perhaps these has to, the spiritual wisdom that the East is known for, perhaps it has to do with the gifts that Abraham sent to the sons of his concubine eastwards to the east. Okay, that's possible, but what could it be? So Rashi says that he says verbatim like this, our rabbis explain that he handed them over an impure name. And the commentary on Rashi says that it was something tum'ah, spiritual impurities, tum'ah, that he gave, and that it was connected with sorcery, magic arts, and idolatrous and impure worship. So that's a really big question on Rashi. How can Rashi give to his biological sons, even not his chosen sons, but still, how can he give to anyone magic and idol worship and impure worship? How would he do such a thing? So this is just something to think about for a second while I'm just inviting. Okay, so how could it be? So there's a few answers for that. One answer is that I really like is that this is someone that's called Tzafnat Paneach. He says he gave them a name that it's possible to say while a person is tum'ah, while a person is spiritual and pure. Okay, there's somebody from iPhone that wants to say something. Go ahead. I see your hand is up. You could say. Did you want to say something? I don't know who it is. Okay, so I'm going to go on then.
Oh, I'm sorry, it was me. I didn't mean to.
Did you want to say something?
Do you hear me, Hannah Brucha?
Yeah, sure.
Oh, I'm sorry. No, I did it by accident. I was trying to get your picture on in the thing. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to do that. I'm sorry.
Okay, so we're going on. Okay, so we have to try to understand and about the gift that Abraham gave to the sons he sends to the east, the sons of the concubines that they say was Keturah, which they also say the rabbis was Hagar, who did tshuva, and she tied herself to Hashem, and then she became Keturah, because Keturah the word Keturah is connected to the word katar or kashar, which means to tie oneself. Now, going back to the names in Tuma, it's interesting that in the Hindu religion, they have 3 doshas, and one of them is tam or tamas, very, very similar to the word for tameh and for impure, spiritual impure in the Torah. And according to Vedic Hinduism, it refers to darkness, sleep, inertia, and ignorance, literally being in the dark, not knowing. So I thought that was really interesting, that there is like a connection here to, I just have to mute somebody. Oh, she's muted now. Okay, great. That there is a connection between the Eastern wisdom, the Vedic wisdom. The same word means the same thing, Tuma. There's also other connections in the words, and Avraham is similar to their spiritual leader, which is called the Brahman. So that, and in addition to that, the Veda, which is like a book of wisdom, is similar to Yeda, which means knowledge. So perhaps these are some of the residues of what Abraham gave, the gift that Abraham gave to the sons that he sent to the east. He sent them away from Yitzhak. There's many reasons for that, but one is that to make it clear that only Yitzhak gets the inheritance of the land of Israel. And so it has been. Abraham sent Yishmael away first, then he sends away the sons of Keturah, and then then Esau is sent away by Yitzhak, and each time some of the sons that are not part of the spiritual inheritance of our forefathers are sent away so that they will not have a claim to the land of Israel, because the land of Israel is intrinsically tied with the spiritual inheritance. And that's going to lead us to the whole concept of what is the problem with gifts. And I found this in my notes based on a comment, like an email by Ari Sherbel that he based on shiurim that he learned from Rabbi Lopiansky. And so the first thing is, it says in Mishlei, Soneh matanot yichye. Someone who hates gifts will live. What's wrong with gifts? Why do we have to hate gifts? And so it's a very interesting concept about that he's teaching. And it really made me think, because in my midrashah, we have a lot of like inspiring lectures, but we also have every day what we call chavuta, study partners, teaching the students to have skills to learn how to learn. And now, like this commentary that I'm now going to share with you, this concept really strengthened me in the importance to give tools for people to learn how to learn. And this also applies to spiritual healing, what a spiritual healer must do is to teach, not to teach, but to bring the person that comes for treatment to the ability to have the ability to heal themselves. Like this too is a course of Kabbalah and spiritual self-healing. Because, in the Western world, people go to the doctor and, and it's like, okay, they just passive and the doctor does all the work and they just like do nothing. And they just like expect the doctor to do everything for them. But in Emunah healing, it's not like that. We work together as a team. And the healer isn't just doing all the work, but is helping the one in treatment to work together and heal, just facilitate the healing process as a team. And now, what does it have to do with those who hate gifts shall live? Because a gift is something you haven't earned. A gift is something external that comes from the outside, something you haven't worked hard for receiving. You just get a free gift. So it doesn't become part of your root, of your inner core. And this can be compared to something you really work for, something that's really you, something that's really your essence, can be compared to a fruit that grows on a tree, that the root of that tree the tree is rooted in the ground, as opposed to pasting a fruit on a tree. A gift is something external. It doesn't have its own, it's just like pasted on the tree. It's gonna not last, it's not gonna have permanence. It's something you're gonna forget. That was just, if you just get a whole lot of answer sheets from someone, you won't remember it. But if you had to work hard to figure out the answers, you'll remember it. And so this is the difference between what Avram gave Yitzhak and what Avram gave the sons of the concubine, specifically Keturah, that he sent away to the east. To Yitzhak, it says he gave everything he had to Yitzhak. That means Avram gave himself to Yitzhak. He gave all like his spiritual legacy to Yitzhak, to be part of his core, to be part of his own fruit that's connected to the root. And that's essentially what parents do to their children. I guess good parents, they give themselves to their children. They give like all their essence to their children, and their children has the ability to continue integrating that essence and making it part of themselves. And Hagar, who became Keturah, she tied herself to Hashem, but she was not davek. She was not cleaving to Hashem. What's the difference? Tying herself to Hashem, there's still some levels of distance. There's still some levels of disconnect. She's not cleaving. It's like a fruit pasted onto the tree. Whereas Yitzhak is a fruit that's growing on a tree that's rooted in the ground, in the earth. And so just like Keturah, her children, they got gifts that were external gifts. Are not really part of themselves, and so they don't have the same permanence. Spiritual, okay, so, and this is, so in a way, a gift takes away, it's a gift. Why is it the one who hates gifts shall live? Because a gift essentially takes away from the life force of the person, because it's it's something external. It's you're giving them something that's not really theirs. So it's actually weakening their inner essential self, their inner life force. Vitality is being weakened. So if you hate gifts, you will live, you will have your true vitality and inner core that, a fruit that grows out of the tree that's rooted in the ground is alive, whereas a fruit that's pasted onto the tree is not alive and it will wilt. And so that's why we should always be looking for earning and gaining truth that we have worked for, that becomes part of our inner self. And so this explains why why it's so important to teach students skills, to learn how to learn, not just to teach them inspiring ideas, that they will come and they will go, like we say in Danish, go into one ear and come out of the other ear. If it's not something that the student has integrated by doing some work for it. And that's why we also like to discuss and let the student express themselves. And one more concept connected with this is the word matanot, the gifts that Avram gave the children of his concubine, Torah. It's written without the vav. It's written missing. It's written with a dot instead of the actual vav. And the vav is always the letter of inner connection and spiritual influx to the world. Shefa.
Shefa.
Yeah, Shefa in Hebrew. Since Avram gave the children of Torah some presence, they were missing the vav, they were missing the inner connection from Abraham. And so they remained outside. And so it's like it's better, rather than giving a man a fish, we need to teach a man to fish. Allow others to integrate the information and develop it to become their own. And that's what that's really what I want to focus on with my teaching and also with my spiritual healing. In Emunah healing, we want to offer tools of self-healing, supporting women to own their healing process rather than being dependent and relying on the healer.
Yeah.
And this way, their healing becomes an integrated part of their internal root rather than just an external gift.
Where are we at? Yeah, West Palm.
That's what Avram gave. That's what Avram gave to Yitzchak. He gave him permanent blessings. And actually, that is the second explanation that Rashi brings, what it was that Abraham gave to Yitzchak. When it says Abraham gave Yitzchak everything, Rashi says, that he gave him a permanent blessing, for the Holy One, blessed be he, had said to Abraham in chapter 12, verse 2 in Parashat Lech Lecha, you shall be a blessing, which means from now on, the blessings are delivered into your hand to bless whomever you wish. This is now the ability that Abraham handed over to Yitzchak. And that is part of his inner core and vitality, the ability not just to receive blessings, but to have to become the source of blessing, to have the blessings being part of his essential self to the extent that he can now impart it to others. And so with that, we're moving into a spiritual healing exercise, a little bit of a meditation to tap into your own unactualized potential. You want to get in touch with your deepest inner self. So make yourself comfortable and take several deep breaths all the way in and all the way out. Allow yourself to breathe even deeper than you think you can. Focus on your goal in life. Envision yourself expressing your highest potential. See yourself radiating your fullest light. What is holding you back from expressing your higher self? What are your physical blocks? Do you need to work on developing better sleeping patterns, healthier diet, and incorporating more physical exercise into your life? What are your emotional blocks that hold you back from reaching your life goals? Do you need to become more caring, loving, and forgiving? Open your heart and fill it with loving care and forgiveness as you keep breathing softly. What are your spiritual blocks that prevent you from cleaving to Hashem? Do you need more meditation, more prayer, and Torah in your life? Is there a specific mitzvah that you need to focus on perfecting? Keep breathing Hashem's life-giving energy into your physical, emotional, and spiritual blocks, believing that Hashem empowers you to overcome them. Visualize yourself reaching even unreachable goals. Realistic goals are usually based on what others think is possible. Allow yourself to believe that with Hashem's help, you can even tap into new ways that until now have been out of reach. Imagine the effort necessary to break free of the husks and access your essential inner life force, your kernel of truth. Allow yourself to accept tolerating discomfort for a greater purpose. Envision yourself making challenging changes in your life routine, both physically, emotionally, and spiritually. Get in touch with how these changes empower you to tap into your own unactualized potential and become the person you're meant to be, expressing your inner self.